Hello, beautiful ladies. Good morning. Welcome to Leap Podcast. I am Chidera, and I'm going to be sharing with us 10 things I've learned in my early 20s. I just want you to sit, relax, enjoy, and learn. Thank you. All right, the first thing I learned in my early 20s is mistakes. Yes, you might be wondering, well, does someone learns mistakes? Yes. Without mistakes, there are no experiences. There is nobody that can come out with a full chest saying, I experienced this without making a mistake. There must be a mistake for you to gain experience over something. You know, I learned mistake. I could recall when I was 22, I got a job with a firm, with a law firm, and the paycheck was quite huge. And I made a mistake. You know the mistake I made? I didn't invest on that money. The first month, when I got my paycheck, I lavishly spent my money on clothes, fine things of life. As a woman, we all love fine, beautiful things of life. I'm a fan of it. I actually spent the money on it. I didn't save. And there was a part, or would I say a point where it was hell for me. I got that money and I bought Gucci bags. As of then, it was lace wig. Lace wig was on trend or was in trend. I bought it. And I had a future. I had bills to pay up. I neglected it. I made mistakes, which I suffered for it at the end. But that suffering was an experience. Because after I lost that job and I got a new one, I learned how to save. Why? Because my mistake gave birth to experience. So as a woman, don't dwell on your mistakes. Don't drown in your mistakes. Making mistakes doesn't make you fragile, makes you a point of mockery or disgust. Yes. It's bound for us to make mistakes. That doesn't mean we are not beautiful in the eyes of God, or we are not his apple or the apple of God's eyes. We are. I learned mistakes. I want us to know that sharing myself here, what I learned in my early 20s, is not the good part alone I'm going to be sharing. I'm going to be sharing the good part, the ugly part of myself that I learned. Not because I want to be praised for it. No. But we are sisters and we are meant to learn from each other. So I learned mistakes. And with every mistakes I made in my early 20s, I learned. I made mistakes in relationship. Most times in my life, I met men. I was carried away by good looks. He's handsome. I beg, I cannot just let this fine, sweet, handsome guy go that way. And what ends it up? Heartbreak. And deep down, I know I'm making a mistake. But I wanted to go on with it. And after I come out of that relationship, that mistake gave birth to experience. And the next time I see a guy, I'm like, no, I'm not going for the looks again. What made you feel I'm not going for the looks again? Because I had made a mistake before, which I don't want to make again because I've gotten experience on it. So that's the first thing we'll learn today. Mistakes. The second thing I learned in my early 20s is pride. You see this thing called pride? It's in every man, including we ladies. But when your pride becomes more than the way it ought to be, that is where it is a problem. Pride. I had pride in my early 20s. Yes. I was quite prideful. Why? Because I felt I was beautiful. I had the natural endowments. I was quite intelligent in school. I even won the miss of this whole school as a whole. Pride. Pride makes you as a woman lose approval from people. Pride makes you lose your destiny helpers. Pride also makes you downcasted in the sight of God. This is what happened to me. I felt I had everything. I started looking down on people. Oh, she's not my type. She's not my class. Like, how would I be rolling with this kind of person? How would I stoop myself low and come to the party and you now put me with every other person? Don't you know I'm a miss? Do you know that I was losing it gradually? Next thing, people were saying, that girl, what is she feeling like? She has pride. Do you know pride made me? I sat back and retook an exam. Yes. A female lecturer. She told me I have pride and I was going to pay for it to my face. I came back to rewrite that exam. She gave me an F. You see what pride can cause you? To the extent that I had to dream, and the Holy Spirit told me in my dream that look at this path that you are going on. If you continue on this path, you would never get it right in life. I had to strip myself of pride. Because it's not bad for you to have pride in necessary things. But when it becomes out of hand, you could lose things as a woman. Pride made me, I lost friends, genuine friends. Pride made me took an exam again that I never failed. But my pride made me retook that exam. Pride distanced me from God. I felt I had everything. That at this moment I don't need to pray or to tell God about my life again. So you see pride. Pride is a pothole that when you fall inside of it, it takes the grace of God to come out of it unhurt. So pride was one of the things I learned in my early 20s. The third thing I learned in my early 20s was prayer. I wasn't really much of a Christian woman. Sorry to say this. I was just there. But I had this thing in me that knows I have a calling. But I just tend to put it or wave it aside. Prayers. Prayers really helped me get through where I was today. Not because I am the kabash lady. No, I'm not really the kabash lady. I just love things of God. Why? Because I love singing. That is where I can actually pour out myself. So people saw it like I was a church girl. I wasn't really a church girl. But prayer helped me. Why did I say prayer helped me? I faced difficulties in my life when growing up as a young lady. And you know that at some point in life, when you are being tossed around with life struggles, even as an unbeliever, the only option you have is prayer. You see, God makes you to turn in that difficulty just for you to come back to Him and go on your knee and tell Him, Baba, please help me. Prayers. Do you know that even as an unbeliever I was in my early 20s, whenever I still go down on my knees and say, God, it is becoming too unbearable for me. Please help me. He still helps me. There were battles I was going through in my early 20s. I just say prayers casually. And do you know that He came through for me? That is one of the things I learned that helped me to where I was today. or where I am today? Prayers. Number 4 thing I learned was giving. Giving is a principle in life. It's not really about you being a Christian or a Muslim or an unbeliever. Giving. It's dynamic. I was not much of a giver growing up because things were very hard for me. I didn't know that the more I did not give, the more things were very hard for me. I had to sit down and say, why am I always struggling just to take care of myself? Why are things that are meant to flow naturally being this hard for me? All right, let me do it this way. Let me start giving. I started giving. I used to be like, Chidera, please, do you have money? Can you lend me like 50 naira or 100 naira? I'll tell the person, I don't have, whereby I have it in my bag. And then that 50 naira the person asks me of, I won't know how it went or how I squandered it. Till I started applying the principle of giving. I decided to give. And after giving, I noticed I had favor from people. I had favor from my fellow females from the opposite sex. I had favor. So you see, giving is one dynamic thing that I learned in my early 20s. The next one that I learned in my early 20s is heartbreak. Oh, I'm the master of heartbreaks. Master, I mean, is I was the one that was being heartbroken. And I also still dished breakfast. Heartbreak. And my own heartbreak comes with karma. So I'll put it heartbreak and karma. Yeah. I had a lot and enough of heartbreak when growing up in my early 20s. I was so heartbroken. Why? Because I was carried away by looks. I love fine things of life. See, I love fine men. I love men that are tall, dark skin, handsome, beard gang, athletic body with gap teeth. I love them so much. And I had them very well in handful. They came very, very well. But I ate enough breakfast. Why? Because I was not really following the right path in being in a relationship. I was interested over physical appearance of people. That was why I was heartbroken. I meet a guy today, the following day we started dating. We've gotten down. And when you start dating a guy today and you guys get intimate the following day, what do you expect? He don't say you finish now, waiting again. The next thing is to serve you better breakfast. Everybody go their way. Yeah. That was it. Heartbreak. I suffered from heartbreak from my early 20s down to my middle 20s. Why? Because I never knew how to navigate my life in finding the perfect person for me at that moment. When I mastered how it ought to have been, that was when heartbreak became a redundant to me. Heartbreak. So as a young lady, how to avoid this heartbreak is by looking past physical appearance. It's not like it's not good to have a guy that is fine or be carried away by a fine man. It's wonderful, but that shouldn't be your priority because you're on your way to heartbreak. Yeah. The sixth thing I learned was keeping secret.